Welcome back for another video. In this video, we're going to be going over chapter 14, the exercise. So in this exercise, we're going to be making a vise, and you should have had to create basically all of the pieces for the vise, which I believe, let me double check here. I'm in the wrong thing. Let's see, documents. Curriculum would have been 6 pieces. So you need a handle knob, a handle rod, a jaw, a key, a screw, and a vise base. So you should have created all those. I'm not going to go through that in this video. By this point, you should know how to create those. I will touch on a few things during the assembly of these parts that may help you with the creation, and it'll help you with assembly later, and I'll get to that here in a minute. So let's go ahead and get started with assembling this. So right now, I have an assembly file open, so I have a new assembly, and I'm just going to start placing my parts. And I am pulling it from my directory, so I'm just going to pull my handle knob. Actually, first thing I'm going to place is my vise base. And I'm going to right-click and place that as a grounded origin. Okay, and now I'm going to go back and I'm going to place my other stuff and just throw it in here. I need 2 of those. 1 of those. 1 of those. 2 of those. And 1 of those. Alright, so I have all my parts, and you don't have to bring them all at once. That's just the way I like to do it. I like everything in there so I can just kind of work with it. And I'm going to do this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make this part mated. I'm going to purposely skip putting these in so that I can show you how to do it later if you forget. Obviously, if I was doing this in a systematic way, I would put these in the jaw before I put them in here. But I want to show you how you can add them later if you would forget to do something like that. So, first thing I'm going to do is put this jaw in here. So let's constrain that face to this face, apply, and if I go to my vise base and my jaw, I'm actually going to use, these are the same size, so I could technically mate this and this, but if the size is changed, it might change the way that they're mated. So I'm actually going to mate the center planes, the planes that go down the middle. And that's what I was talking about or referring to when I said I'm going to give you some tips when you're actually modeling your parts to help you with assembly. So I do mid-plane extrudes on almost everything, and I try to keep everything mid-plane, both in 2 directions. Sometimes in 3 directions if it's symmetrical, but if at all possible, I try to mid-plane extrude about any symmetrical feature. So I want to pick that one, and then I should pick my XY plane here. And you can see it mates it and centers it up. Now it's not the right direction, so I have to click to change that around, change the solution, and hit apply. Alright, so that is mated. Alright, now that I've done that, I look at this and I think, oh no, I forgot to put my keys in. Darn it, I can't even see that. I'm going to have to try to work in here. Well, no worries. So what you can do is just right-click on your base or whatever part you want to get rid of, and we can either make it transparent. Now we can still click on it. So that's really not ideal. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm actually going to turn the transparency off. And I'm going to go to visibility and turn visibility off. And then I can add these. So I'm just going to add this one to there and apply it, that to there, apply it, and this to here. And you can see nothing happens, so I just have to change my solution and hit play or hit apply. And then just do the same thing for the other side. So pick this one, apply, that face, apply, and that face, So I went wrong somewhere in here. So I'm going to hit cancel. I'm going to bring this thing in. Okay. So it looks like I have it on the wrong faces. So what I'm going to do, and it's good that that happened because now you can kind of see how to fix something like that. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete. I'm going to double click on these. Don't need to delete them. I can go and edit them, and I can change the solution for both of these. So right click on this one, hit edit, and I'll change that solution, hit OK. And then I can go back to constrain and hit apply. And there we got it corrected. Okay, now I'm going to go in and turn my base back on, visibility. All right, and that looks good. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my screw. So I'm going to constrain that, and I'm actually going to do an insert here. I picked this edge. I'm going to go in and pick the edge that mates with and hit apply. And there we go. All right, next I need to put this thing together. So I'm actually going to apply these two to this a while. You could actually do subassembly, so I could create an assembly file for just this, and then I could add that assembly file into here as well. So you can have assemblies within assemblies if you wanted to do that. Now, that's good when you have a bunch of parts, like, if you had something really, say for instance, like I was building a whole machine. Maybe I was building like a Haas mini mill, and I wanted to put a vise on it. My vise might be a subassembly, and I would bring that into the larger mill assembly and just add how many vices I wanted in it. So that would be a good example. For this, it's not a lot of parts, so it really doesn't make a lot of sense to do a subassembly for just the handle and then bring the subassembly in and add it to this assembly. But I'm going to add these knobs to it, and I'm going to use an insert command again. So I'm just going to select that edge, and I can actually grab that edge there. Hit apply, and we're going to, oh, wrong edge. Reselect that, there, and hit apply. Okay, now if you're not sure if you got it to go to the bottom or not, you can actually kind of look and you can see if you highlight over the rod. The other thing you could do is you can click on this and you can go to a transparent view and you can see through it, but you can still kind of see a shadow so you see where it's at. So that's kind of nice. Turn that off. All right. Lastly, we are going to insert the handle into here. So I'm going to hit constrain, and I'm going to constrain that apply. Now, you'll note that this handle isn't actually in there. Now I can bring it down. I can kind of bring this down until it's in there. Okay, cool. Now I can move this in. All right, so that looks good, right? It looks the way we want it. But it's not really it's not really fully constrained the way we want it. And although you weren't required to do this for your assignment, I want to show you how to do it. So what we want to do is we want to constrain this jaw so that it can't go past the back jaw, and it can't go past this, this hub right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on constrain, and I'm going to click on this face and this face, and that mates them, which will mean that I can't move it at all now. But if you click on this little arrow and expand to a more advanced tab, we can actually create limits for this so that it can move. So my minimum, or I'm going to make my maximum. My maximum is going to be the opening, the base opening minus the width of the jaw, or depth of the jaw. I'm just bringing this up in my book because I forget what it is off the top of my head. All right, so the width or the depth of the jaw is 1.75, and the opening is 5.25. So if we subtract that, that equals 3.5. So I'm going to make it 3.5 as a max. And I may need to change this, just depending on, it may be a negative number or a positive number, just depending on how it's oriented. I believe it's positive in this case because I'm seeing our X positive going this way. You can see this right here. So I'm going to hit apply. And let's see what happens there. All right, so I can still move it that way, but I can't move it past there. And that's just because I didn't click on the minimum. And actually, you probably saw me hesitate there. I did that on purpose just to show you what happens if you don't. So just click on this minimum and keep that at 0 and hit OK. Now it is locked in position. So I can move it back and forth, but I can never move it past those 2 locations. Next, we're going to do it with this one, this handle. So let me close this, and let's open up the handle rod and the screw. And for this one, I'm actually going to use my planes. So since I extrude everything that's symmetrical over the midplane, I'm going to hit Constraint, and I'm going to find the plane that is perpendicular, the plane on the screw that's perpendicular to the hole going through it. So if I kind of hover over these, it looks like that's my plane right there. So you can see that's perpendicular to the hole going through it. All right, so I select that one, and then I want to select the same plane for my handle rod. And I believe that is it, the XY plane. Okay, and we're going to hit, well, I'm not going to hit apply yet because I want to add some mins and maxes here. All right, so to get this one, what we have to do is we have to see what the overall length of our rod is. In this case, the handle rod's 5 inches long, but keep in mind a 1/2 inch of that is covered up by these knobs, and we don't want this to go past the knob. So we're going to subtract 1 inch off the total, which is 4 inches. So basically plus or minus 2 inches. But also we have the width of this screw. So let's go plus or minus 2 inches, and I'll show you why that's a problem. Hit apply. Uh-oh. Let me edit the relationship. I think it may be... Did that do what I wanted to do? Yeah, there we go. So I just needed to edit that. That was just the solution was wrong. Didn't really give me any confirmation that I got it right afterwards, though, so I'm a little confused. So you can see there, that's a problem because we didn't subtract the width or the radius of this screw. So what I need to do is I need to go back in to that rod. I'm going to go to my edit. And I know that this diameter is 0.75, so I need to subtract 375, which means it's 1.625 and negative 1.625. And hit OK. And now you can see it stops right when they contact. So now our vise is fully constrained. Last thing I want to show you, and I'm not going to leave it this way. I think that the way it is right now is perfect. This is a complete assembly because you want it to move as though it would in real life. But if, let's say you wanted this handle to be constrained at an angle, or basically this handle and the screw constrained at an angle, just for the drawing purposes maybe. But you wouldn't really want to do it with this part, but I just want to show you how to use the angular constraint. So I'm going to hit the constraint, and I'm going to choose my angle constraint, and I'm going to go to my handle rod, and I'm going to pick the plane that, I need to kind of rotate this a little bit so I can see it correctly. So I believe that is the plane that I'd like. It doesn't really matter which one I choose. And I'm going to choose a plane on the screw. In this case, or sorry, not on the screw. I'm going to choose a plane on the base. The base. So we're going to choose this plane. So we have our 2 planes, and I'm going to pick this solution, and I'm going to say that I want that to be 45 degrees. And you can see there that it actually moves it to 45 degrees relative. And if I hit apply, I can move this, I can move it in and out, but I can no longer rotate that handle around. It's locked at 45 degrees relative to the base. Again, I don't want to do that. I'm going to delete that. But if you need to do that for anything, that's how you do it. If you ever need to rotate or lock an angle in place. So there is our vise, and that is how you assemble it. Now let's go ahead and save that, and let's create some drawing files. So I'm going to go ahead to save, and I'm going to call it Vise assembly, and hit save. All right, that looks good. All right, now the next thing I want to do is I want to create a exploded view of this. So I'm going to go ahead and save this like this. Save. And we're going to go to new, and I'm going to create a presentation here. We're going to insert, whoa, wrong one. For some reason it has me defaulting to that old file. New presentation. Not music. Documents. Fourth semester. Tutorials. Vise assembly. There we go. All right, so we got what we needed here. All right, so I'm going to go to tweak part, and I'm going to start pulling this stuff apart. Pull this out. Probably don't quite need to go that far. Actually, let me redo that. Let me undo that. What I want to do is I actually want to pull everything out at once. So I'm going to pick this, hold shift down, and select all my parts. Tweak component, that one, shift. And we're going to pull, I didn't get that. Tweak component. There we go, now I got it. Okay, so I'm going to pull that out. Hit, maybe a little more. Hit enter. And we're going to tweak this component. We're going to bring that one just out here. Check. We're going to tweak this one and this one. I'm going to bring those out like that. I'm just going to tweak this one. Enter. And I'm going to tweak this component here. Bring this out. Oh. Okay, so you see I need to change my visibility. Associative, dissociative. Break. Okay. And I'm going to tweak component. Select this one and get these two as well. Bring that out. Hit check. Tweak this component. So we're just pulling these keys out now. Check. Turn our visibility back on. And there we go. There is our breakdown view, our exploded view. So I'm going to go ahead and hit File, Save As. Just save it as Pres for presentation. And I'm going to create a drawing. And I'm going to pick up my model. All right. And you can see here that it's creating a pretty small drawing. So let's increase this and say we want this to be 2/5. Just see what that looks like. Okay, that's probably a little large. I might be able to fit that in, actually. Yeah, that actually fits pretty good. So let's go with that. Let's hit OK. And you can see there's our exploded view. And if you don't like these lines, we can get rid of those. You can get rid of those in the presentation. I can show you that in a little bit. But let's go ahead and put our part list on here. And let's hit OK. Yeah. And I'm just going to place this up in the upper right-hand corner where I have room. And I'm going to double-click this, and I'm going to get rid of one of the columns here. So column chooser. We're going to get rid of this description. Remove that. OK. OK. And there we go. OK. So you can see there. And let's go ahead and add our balloons. Forgot to click. Okay. So there we go. We have all all 6 of our parts labeled. And if I wanted to, I could draw some leaders to these. I could renumber these as well. But it's pretty obvious that those are the same piece, just because you have your parts list up here. So it's not really necessary to do that. Let's see here. So one of the things I do notice right off the bat is that if I go to my page view, I notice that my title's not in here. I don't need any of this stuff, but I do need my title. I really kind of want that, and maybe my revision number as well. So I'm going to go into my assembly, and I'm going to hit File. Actually, I'm going to go into here, Properties, and we're going to add, I'm going to capitalize my name since it's a proper way to do it, Sim228. Physical, we don't want that because each part's going to be different. And our revision number is 0. Apply. And let's save that. And you can see there that stuff pops in and it fills that in. Okay, let's go to presentation. So if you want to get rid of these lines in your presentation, you can just go and right-click on these, and you can do Hide Trail Segment Group. And you might have to do it for a couple of different ones of these. And we could save that. Now, when you come back to your drawing, it's not going to change it. So what you need to do in your drawing is you can actually just turn the visibility off on these. So it looks good. Visibility. Once you get that off, I think that looks a little bit nicer for this particular drawing. Sometimes you want it on there. It shows you where they're coming from, so they're a little bit nicer. And I'm just adjusting some of these here. They look good. Okay. So that looks pretty good. So there is our exploded drawing. Now, what I want to do here, and I'm just going to call this exploded view. And, oops, I want to do that. And let's see here, going to go to where am I at here? Lost my, oh, there we are. Place these new sheet, and we're going to add, oh shoot, hold on. There we go. And we're going to add each part. So I'm going to call it Vise Base, I believe is the name of it. Yeah. It's a base. Create another new one. Call this one jaw. Key. And I'm just doing them in the order I see them in the book. The order is not really that big a deal. Actually, the order you probably want to go in is the order on your first. So we got base, handle knob. Actually, I'm going to change it to this. Handle rod and jaw. Undo that. And let's go to a new sheet. Key and screw. I have to be on a different view to. Good grief. Giving me trouble trying to name it. Alright, you know what? Delete sheet. Yes. Alright. We'll do it this way. And that was supposed to be Joel. Okay. So we've got our base, got our handle knob, handle rod, key. Oh, the Joel's supposed to be in front of the key. Edit. Key. And we're going to add our last one, which is the screw. Okay. And you could change these depending on the sheet size. Generally, you want it all to be the same sheet size, but you could change them if you really need to. So what I would do is just pull in my base. So I double click on my base, make sure I'm working on that one, and I would just pull my Vise base in. So I need to go to my file. I'm in the wrong, keeps defaulting me to that one. Documents, Stephen's curriculum. Have these things tucked away. Vise base. All right, and I might make this, I don't know, 1/2. See what that, okay, that's too big. 1/4. That's reasonable. And I just place all my views. And I want to fully dimension that. So I want to fully dimension print, complete print. Then I move on to my next one. And I'm not going to go and dimension all these just for the sake of time. There's no reason. At this point, you should know how to dimension all of your drawings. So once I've completed dimensioning that and I got that exactly the way I wanted, it's a professionally done print, I will minimize it and I'll click on my next one. And I'll bring in my handle knob. And this in here I could probably make pretty large. Okay. I might maybe make that a little smaller, just to make it look a little more professional. But dimension this one, and complete that process. So do that for every single drawing that you have. Make sure they have all their dimensions on them, and there you have a completed assembly drawing. So that is really all there is to this lesson. If you have any questions, as always, you can either see me during my office hours, or of course you can see me during class.